There are moments in life when sound itself becomes unbearable. Moments when words no longer hold their shape, and every syllable feels heavy, like rainwater in a stone jar. And then, there is silence. Not the silence of sleep, not the silence of indifference, but a silence that carries the weight of centuries, as if an entire life is exhaled, without a single cry. She walked away in that silence. No door slammed, no harsh word left behind, no final gesture to mark the ending. She simply left. And in that quiet departure, the world shifted. We often believe that change comes with thunder, that endings must arrive with drama, with storms that rip apart the sky. But no, sometimes the greatest transformations arrive quietly, on bare feet. She walked away, without fire, without anger, without noise. And in that softness, there was an unbearable weight, because silence is never empty. It carries echoes, echoes of what was shared, echoes of what was lost. Her silence carried his reflection, his shadows, his forgotten tenderness. When she left him with himself. And that was the beginning of everything. For the first time, the walls of his certainty began to tremble. The patterns of his days suddenly revealed their cracks. Her absence was not absence. It was presence, transformed. It was a mirror. Have you ever noticed how silence does not end when someone leaves? It expands. It lingers in the spaces between objects, in the hollow of the rooms, in the corners of memory. Her silence was like that. It lived in his house. It followed him in the streets. It sat beside him when he tried to sleep. It became the voice he could not escape. And so, everything changed. Not because she demanded it, not because she explained it, but because she no longer tried. Because she allowed the truth to appear, without sound. That is the secret of departures. They are never about leaving. They are about unveiling. She unveiled his solitude. She unveiled his blindness. She unveiled the fragility of love. When it is not nourished, her silence revealed more than her words ever could. This is the paradox of endings. They are also beginnings. And sometimes, the greatest beginning is born the moment someone chooses to walk away without a word. He sat with the silence. At first, it was unbearable. The absence pressed upon him like stone. He tried to fill it with noise, with distraction, with the clamor of the world. But the silence remained, like an old tree, rooted too deeply to be moved. It spoke, though it had no voice. It reminded him of every overlooked moment, every small tenderness that had slipped through his hands. Respect, once taken for granted, now revealed itself as sacred. The small gestures, the way she listened without judgment, the way her presence softened the harshness of life. These became sharp in memory. He wondered, how could he not have seen? How could he not have felt the weight of such quiet love while it was near? And yet, that is the nature of love. It is often invisible until it is gone. There is a strange cruelty in memory. It does not allow you to touch what has been lost, yet it forces you to see it clearly. For the first time, her silence was not emptiness. It was revelation. It revealed the spaces within him that had gone unloved. It revealed the words he never spoke, the gratitude he never voiced, the tenderness he withheld out of pride. And so, the silence grew heavier. But it was not only weight, it was also teaching. For silence, too, is a teacher. It does not argue. It does not persuade. It does not demand. It simply waits. And in that waiting, truth emerges. The truth was this: he had not lost her in the moment she walked away. He had lost her long before, bit by bit, through neglect, through the arrogance of thinking she would always remain. And when she finally left, it was not betrayal, it was completion, the last note of a song that had been ending for a long, long time. Her silence was final, but it was not cruel, it was pure, because silence is not vengeance, silence is not punishment, silence is acceptance. She had accepted what he had not yet understood, that love cannot live where respect has died. And so, she left quietly. No anger, no plea, just the dignity of stillness. And in that stillness, she gave him the greatest gift, the chance to finally face himself. But facing oneself is not easy. It is the most difficult journey of all. When the noise of the world falls away, when the comfort of another is gone, when the illusions dissolve, what remains? Only the raw self, the unfinished soul, the child within the man. That is what silence reveals. That is what her absence uncovered. And so he sat, alone, listening to the silence. That was no longer hers, but his own. Silence changes everything. It forces us to hear what we have long ignored. It forces us to meet the shadows we once turned away from. That is why her leaving was not an ending. It was a beginning. A harsh one, yes. But beginnings rarely arrive softly. She walked away silently, and that silence became his mirror. There is a moment, after the waves of grief have broken, when the soul becomes still, not healed, not whole, but quiet. And in that quietness, a strange truth emerges. The truth that what we thought belonged to us never truly did. She was never his to possess. Her laughter, her warmth, her tenderness, they were gifts, not property. And gifts cannot be demanded. They cannot be held by force. They can only be received, cherished, and let go. It took her silence for him to understand this. It took her leaving for him to finally see that love is not ownership, but presence. Presence, such a delicate word. We imagine presence as something obvious, something grand. But presence is subtle. It is the way two souls breathe together, in the same rhythm. The way her eyes lingered, when words were unnecessary. It is the softness of being seen, without needing to explain. And when she left, that presence dissolved, not because she took it, but because he had long ago ceased to meet it. Loneliness arrived slowly. It was not sudden. It crept in, like evening shadows on the wall. At first, he mistook it for freedom. The quiet house, the untouched chair, the stillness of the night. But freedom without connection is only emptiness. And soon, he found himself listening for footsteps that never came. The silence no longer belonged to her. It had become his own. And in that silence, he began to feel the weight of age. Not just the body's age, but the soul's. The years he had wasted, chasing illusions, the tenderness he had withheld out of pride, the forgiveness he had delayed until it was too late. Time does not announce its passing. It moves silently, as she did, and suddenly, he was no longer young. Suddenly, his solitude was permanent. But solitude is not always a curse. It can also be a return to what has always been waiting, the self. Because when all else falls away, when companionship is gone, when even memory begins to fade, what remains is the essence. That cannot be abandoned. The soul waits, patiently, through every error, every blindness, every loss. It waits for the moment when the man finally turns inward. That is what her silence gave him. Not punishment, not despair, but a path back to himself. For the first time, he began to sit with the stillness, without trying to escape it. He let the silence enter him, slowly, like rain soaking into dry soil. And there, in the quiet, he discovered something unexpected. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is not an act of will. It cannot be forced. It is not a moral achievement. It is a ripening, a softening of the soul. That happens when one finally grows tired of carrying the weight of resentment. He forgave her, not because she had wronged him, but because his heart could no longer hold bitterness. And more importantly, he forgave himself for the blindness, for the neglect, for the arrogance of believing love would always wait. This forgiveness did not erase the past. It did not restore what had been lost, but it transformed the way he carried it. The memories remained, but they were no longer sharp. They no longer cut. They became soft, like worn photographs, faded but precious. And so, her silence, what at first seemed unbearable, became the soil from which something new began to grow. Not joy, not happiness, but peace. A peace that comes when one finally accepts that everything is transient. And yet, nothing is wasted. Because even loss, even endings, even silence, becomes part of the soul's unfolding. She walked away silently, and that changed everything. Not only his world, not only his heart, but the way he understood himself. For silence does not take. It reveals. It reveals what is fragile. It reveals what is eternal. It reveals that even in solitude, the soul is never truly alone. There comes a time when words no longer serve, when the story has been spoken, when the tears have been shed, when the echoes have faded. What remains is silence. Not the silence of absence, but the silence of presence. The silence that holds everything. She walked away, and he thought it was the end. But in truth, it was the beginning of a deeper listening, the beginning of seeing himself, not through her eyes, but through the stillness of his own soul. And in that seeing, something softened, something released. Love had not died. It had only changed its shape. No longer a fire, demanding and consuming, but a quiet ember, steady, enduring. It did not ask for her return. It did not cling to the past. It simply glowed, a reminder of what had been, and a light for what was yet to come. In the end, he learned that the soul is vast enough to hold both love and loss, both memory and silence. He learned that her leaving was not emptiness, but space. Space for him to finally breathe. Space for him to finally forgive. Space for him to finally return. Return. Not to her, but to himself. And so, in the stillness of night, with rain tapping softly against the window, he whispered into the dark, "Thank you. Thank you for the silence. Thank you for the leaving. Thank you for the gift. I could not understand until now." She walked away silently, and that changed everything. And perhaps, that was always the point.